Gina Lawson pulled into the staff car park, just as she'd done for the last 7 years. The act was automatic. Same space, same glance at the clock, yet today it felt heavier. She sat for a moment, staring at the familiar building where she had poured so much of her life. Memories flashed by. Friendships, office laughter, long hours, but lately those memories were overshadowed by unease. Whispers circled. Her boss was distracted, even infatuated. The rumours said he had a girlfriend. Some suggested this woman might even line up to take Gina's place. Inside, Gina tried to focus on her work, but the atmosphere had shifted. Her boss was curt, distracted, and opportunities she'd once thrived on seemed to vanish before her eyes. 7 years of loyalty, of showing up no matter what, suddenly felt fragile. At home, bills stacked up higher, the mortgage clock never stopped ticking. The fear of redundancy gnawed at her. Not just the loss of income, but the humiliation of being replaced, cast aside as though she no longer mattered. In quiet moments, she replayed conversations with colleagues, half smiles, quick glances, words that once seemed harmless, now carrying sharp undertones. No one had spoken to her directly, yet she felt the ground shifting beneath her feet. Every drive to work grew heavier. The car park, once a place of routine and safety, now seemed like a stage set for her downfall. Each step echoing with dread of what was about to come. Gina's anxiety grew heavier with each day passing. She noticed her boss's new companion step confidently through the office, as if already part of the team. The subtle glances, the harsh tones, and the way meetings suddenly ended when she entered, it all spoke volumes. Then came the email. Please attend a meeting with management on Friday to discuss your future with the company. No agenda, no details, just cold sentence that made her heart pound. Gina sat in the car that night, staring at the steering wheel, her mind racing. This wasn't just a job. It was her livelihood, her security, her identity after 7 long years. To lose it now under such humiliating circumstances felt unbearable. But she also felt something else rising, a flicker of a fight. Maybe this was the moment she needed to stand up to protect herself and to show them she wouldn't be discarded easily. The advocate's office was tucked away above a small row of shops, nothing flashy, but steady. Gina climbed the stairs with trembling hands, clutching a folder of pay slips and emails. Inside, she was greeted by Mark Redding, an employment advocate known for his calm presence and sharp instincts. His office walls were lined with case files and newspaper clippings, quiet reminders of battles fought and won. Mark listened carefully as Gina told her story. When she finished, he leaned back and nodded. Gina, what you've described raises serious concerns. The law protects employees from being pushed out unfairly, especially after 7 years of loyal service. But here's the key. You mustn't face this meeting alone. I'll be there with you. For the first time in weeks, Gina felt a flicker of hope. She wasn't just a target anymore. With Mark by her side, she was ready to fight back. Mark folded his hands on the desk. This first meeting isn't about defending yourself, he said. It's about them showing their hand. They'll want you to explain, to react, maybe even admit something. Don't. Your job is to listen, stay calm, and take notes. He handed her a notepaper. Use this. Write down everything. Dates, names, exact phrases. Memory fades, notes don't. Think of it as building your shield. Friday came too quickly. Gina's palms were damp as she walked into that boardroom. marked beside her with a slim leather folder. Her boss sat at the head of the table, HR manager on his right, polite smiles, but heavy air. Questions were framed as if decisions were already made. Fit, fresh direction, new opportunities. Mark said nothing, only noted every word. When Gina glanced at him, he gave the smallest nod. Listen, don't engage. By the end, the boss closed. Well, we'll consider next steps and be in touch. Outside, Mark said quietly, they've shown us their cards. Now we build your case. 2 days later, an email arrived. Proposed redundancy, feedback requested. Cold, clinical. Her role was no longer required. She had 5 days to respond. This is standard, Mark explained. But they can't finalise anything until they've genuinely considered your input. That's where we come in. Mark drafted a letter demanding proof of cost savings. Company cars, Coro Club memberships, boardroom alcohol, overseas travel and accommodation costs. If their reasoning was genuine, they'd have nothing to hide, he said. But if this redundancy is covering for something else, they'll struggle to answer. And that helps us. Days later, HR replied, expenditure details are confidential. We will not be providing this information. Your feedback remains due tomorrow. Gina's throat tightened. They've shut me out completely. Mark's eyes hardened. Confidentially isn't an excuse under Section 41A. This is proof of bad faith. Every step they take makes our case stronger. By midday, his reply was ready. Without the information, Miss Lawrence cannot provide meaningful feedback. Any attempt to proceed will be treated as a breach of your good faith obligations. He looked at Gina. If they push ahead, it's their process that collapses, not yours. 2 days later, the final blow. Termination of employment by reason of redundancy. 7 years of loyalty erased with one cold paragraph. Gina's world tilted. But Mark steadied her. This letter may feel like the end, Gina, but it's not. It's Exhibit A. What they see is the final word. What I see is the start of your case. That night, Gina couldn't sleep. Humiliation burned as sharply as fear. By morning, exhaustion gave way to resolve. Mark raised a personal grievance. Failure to disclose information, unreasonable deadlines, a predetermination outcome. Today, you stop being a victim, he told her. Today, you become a claimant. The ministry moved quickly. Mediation was set. Remember, Mark told her, they've refused information, rushed you, then fired you. That's our story, and it's strong. You don't need to say much. Silence used well is powerful. The mediator, calm and neutral, guided the session. Gina's boss muttered about efficiencies and structure, but Mark countered sharply, their refusal preventing Gina from offering alternatives, leaving the redundancy unjustified. He warned, however, that if the manager's new companion filled her role, it would clearly be unjustified dismissal, and the mediator nodded gravely. The employer's first offer, 3 months. Mark shot back, 12. After tense backwards and forth, the mediator returned with 4. Mark leaned towards Gina. It's a point of no return. With your skills, you'll find other work. What matters now is dignity. Gina whispered, I've already had another job offer from a company I respected. I turned it down out of loyalty, but I don't think it's gone. Mark nodded. Then this isn't the end, it's a bridge. We aim for 6 months' pay and clear reference. After shuttling, the employer relented 6 months' pay and a reference and resignation on agreed terms. Outside the mediation room, the air felt crisp and free. Gina breathed deeply for the first time in months. 6 months' pay, a reference, and a chance to take a better role she'd once turned down. It wasn't the ending she'd imagined, but it was the ending on her terms. "You did well," Mark told her. "They wanted to rush you out with nothing, but you have left with security, dignity, and freedom." As Gina drove away, she glanced in her mirror one last time at the building that had defined her. It no longer held power. Ahead lay new work, new purpose, and hope.